Supernatural Season 12, Episode 12, Stuck in the Middle with You. Really love this episode. I think they did a great job kind of playing around. It was definitely, I'm assuming that this was the point, but it seemed like, to me at least, that they were referencing Quentin Tarantino throughout this entire episode. Like the way they were jumping through time, they had different types of music, they had the sort of slow motion walk sequence, which made me think of Reservoir Dogs, which it definitely would have been a reference if they used the actual song, but that was a cool little segment, which was really funny because had to watch it in closed captionings, and it comes up as like 1970s gangster movie theme, and I thought that was really funny. But we have the slow motion sequence in the beginning, we have like a western theme playing at the end, the way they jump around time, and at first it's like, it just shows the times, and then it starts to give like actual chapters like Mother Mary, and then they have the very end of the episode is one last thing. The cult itself, which the fact that the cult is back is really freaking amazing. The references to Azazel and finding out that Azazel isn't the only type of demon like that. Everything they pretty much did in this episode, I loved. I was like, the cult is back. They had a reference to Azazel. We find out that he wasn't the only demon with yellow eyes. There were actually multiple princes, as well as princesses, I would assume, because they reference, I want to say it was like Dagon or something like that, but it was a female. So they have princesses as well as princes, and they kind of just left. Like they were basically right after you have Lucifer, Lilith, and then you have the princes and princesses. And I thought that was really freaking awesome when that was, when they talked about that, and we get the cool flashback with Crowley where he's like, okay, this is just, it just happened, so I'm still being a loyal demon. And he's like, we brought you this and we brought you this so you could, take over for hell. And it was like, yeah, we don't want to do that really. We just kind of want to do our own thing. So you can have it if you want. And Crowley was like, I'll take it. And he was like, this is a different type of Crowley. So that was really fun to see. Like everything they did in this, I just really, really loved. The only thing that sucked is that, of course, the one guy, I believe his name was Wally, he ends up dying in this episode. But it was really good. I love the way they jumped through time. Big important episode for Cass for sure. I figured he wouldn't die. I wasn't really worried. I started to get a little worried towards the very end because I was like, okay, it's got like 3 minutes in the episode. I'm not seeing any solutions here. I started to freak out like the very end, but the whole episode I was like, I'm sure he'll be fine. And then as they got closer and closer, I'm like, well, I'm not really understanding. Like, what, do they stab him twice and it takes the spell out or something? Like, what's happening here? So I started to freak out towards the end because I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I love the way this episode played out. Them jumping through time. They would have, we jump forward in scenes and then we jump backwards to scenes, but they would add extra parts to it. Like when they said, like, does everybody understand the plan? And then it jumped forward the first time, and then it jumped back to that where it's like, does everybody understand the plan? And then we actually hear Dean repeat the plan. Like, yep, we do this, this, and this. And then it goes to them inside the house, and then we jump backwards to when they first get to the house, and then we jump to Mary when she's actually in the house and what she was really doing when she came out of that doorway when Cass was like, where were you? So I love the way they played around with the story for this episode. Even outside of that, like just the content I thought was really well done, because not only did they bring back one of the most classic elements of the entire series, and this isn't the first time they brought back that weapon, but it's one of the most classic weapons in the entire series, and they also brought back, in a sense, one of the most classic villains, the first, huge villain of the series, and finding out that there are others just like him out there who, now that they've been referenced, will most likely come into play, if not this season, definitely next season. So there's a lot to that, and we'll see how many are left, but they made it seem like there are quite a few, because I think they mentioned that there were 6 or 7 total. So of course we got 2 down officially, and then all the others, we don't know how many are actually dead and how many are actually alive, but it was kind of just like, yeah, I told everybody they were gone because that's what they wanted. So we don't exactly know how many are really still out there, but they reference for sure at least 2 by name. 2 others guaranteed are still left alive. So there might only be 2 left, but easily they could become villains if, they're upset that their brother was killed. It was like, Azazel, that was a long time ago, but that just happened after, they made their whole rule about being left alone. So they could come into play next season, which I would not hate, and I'm sure they will, because that's a huge thing to reveal. Like, yeah, he wasn't the only one with yellow eyes and stuff like that. So I love what they did in this. I think the comedy was good. I love the segment where they're actually eating lunch, and the waitress kind of hates everybody except for Cass, because he mentions that, I think cheese isn't a carbohydrate. So that was really funny. And then just the way they go through this episode, I really enjoyed it. It just got more and more chaotic because, of course, we have a character get killed off, and then they go through, and of course, Cass is in danger, and then we have this mysterious item, which was a reference to, like Pulp Fiction with the glow and everything. So this mysterious item that we don't understand, like, what in the world is this thing? So we have Mary doing her own secret mission, and she's lying to everyone else, saying like, okay, well, if they think they're helping you, then they won't ask the wrong questions and stuff like that, because of course she's working with the Men of Letters, who she calls hobbits, which I loved in her phone. I thought that was hilarious. But it was a really good episode. I love them jumping around. I love the Quentin Tarantino-like references. I don't know if he was a surprise director or something. I highly doubt it, but that definitely seemed to be what they were going for in this episode. That he was, that they were kind of referencing his work. So I really love the way they did that and the way they, jumped through time and stuff. I thought was really well done. And then just the way they revealed the story where it's like, oh, the demons that came after them were actually sent by Crowley. So that's how that ended up playing out. And he reveals the story to them, exactly what's happening and who the person is that they're fighting, Ramael, the Prince of Hell, as he mentioned. It's catchy because it rhymes. But it was just really good. I like the way it all played out, and they think that Crowley left him behind, but he's trying to stop Ramael, and he's like, hey, every time something chaotic happens, they end up fixing it, so we kind of need them alive. Like, what can I do to stop you? And it was nothing, and Crowley gets blasted through the barn, and then everybody has to end up fighting because, of course, Mary will not give him the colt. So fortunately, they all end up surviving. And we get to the end with the Men of Letters, and of course Mary gives him the colt. And I love the way it ended because she's like, if you send me into something crazy like that again, I think she says, I'll burn you down or something like that, I'll destroy you. And he said, like, is that a threat? And I was like, ooh, he got real mad about that in half a second. He wasn't understanding about how any of that was insanely chaotic. He was just, was that the threat? Like, he was going to kill her. So she responds, and that's a promise. So we already knew that was going to come to a head at some point because the boys still haven't figured it out, and I'm sure Mary doesn't know either, that they go behind them and just kill anything either supernatural that's left around because it's actually just a good person. They get killed off, it doesn't matter. If they even know about supernatural stuff, they get killed off, it just doesn't matter, which doesn't make a lot of sense why they kill people off for knowing about the supernatural stuff. If anything, that would help. Like, you just have more people fighting for the cause. I mean, 1 out of a dozen people are probably going to be like, crap, I might need to devote my life to saving people. Like, it's possible. So they just kill off anybody that Sammy Dean come across, and I would assume other hunters who was like, alright, well, you're a hunter, so that's what you do. This person just freaks out, and they know about it, so gotta kill them for no apparent reason. But we'll see how it plays out. I don't know how long the Men of Letters is really going to last. The British Men of Letters, of course, in this show. Like, they're working so far. This is the first episode with Mary, and it already fell apart. It was like, yeah, bad intel. Sorry. And it's like, this is beyond anything that she could have imagined. So it's already fallen apart between the two of them. And we've seen the other stuff the Men of Letters have done. So I'm very excited to see how long it's going to last. But this is definitely a well-done episode. Amazing scene with Cass at the end, of course. And he says, I love all of you and stuff. I was like, that was a really good moment. But all in all, it was a phenomenal episode. Really, really good. I really liked the last episode, but this one I thought was really, really good. I think this is a really great episode. Probably one of the best ones this season, I think. But really enjoyed it. Can't wait to see what they do with this next episode, where they're going. Oh, of course. I almost forgot because it was literally the end scene. Mark Pellegrino is back as the devil. So, like, the devil is officially back. He's in hell and he's been captured. Crowley's mad at him, and he calls him dog and stuff. So he's officially back, which is great, of course. And if he's back, that just means he's getting out. I mean, that's what it means, right? Because that's just how it works. If he's in the show, he's getting out. That's just how it has to be. So something's gonna go wrong there. Maybe Crowley's going to deal with another coup. We haven't seen that in a while. He seemingly hasn't had really any issues being the king of hell since the last season. It's just been like, yep, solved that problem. I'm back to king. Everything's good for me. So maybe that'll happen again. Who knows? But really enjoyed this episode. They revealed a lot of great stuff. The devil's back. The cult is back. there wasn't, Azazel wasn't just as unique as we thought. So there are other characters as powerful as him who have their own different interests, which I thought was something that was like, that seems to be a reference to the future. It was like, he has his hobbies and she has her toys, and I'm like, I feel like that's way more demonic than actual hobbies and toys. Like, they're probably torturing people and stuff just because they're demons. I could be wrong. This dude was night fishing, which it doesn't even make sense. But I don't know. Just because they're demons, I assume it's going to be bad once that's fully introduced. So we'll see what happens. But love this episode, of course. We'd love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts were, and why do you think they needed the cult? Like, it wasn't just let's get it back. Like, there's going to be something with that. That you don't bring that back and then it doesn't get used. So are they, are the letters using it on somebody or looking to use it? They reference a little bit about the Nephilim in this, where it's like, oh, she just seemed to disappeared. One of them, I think it was the female, the princess, she took interest in it. So I was like, okay, she'll probably show up this season. Maybe the other guy will show up next season or something like that. So that seems kind of to be where they're headed, and I think they might need the cult, unless they use the spear, if they can fix it, if it works like that. But thinking that's where the cult's headed. But I would love to know what usage you think they're going to get out of the cult this season, and of course what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.